Okay, hi there. If you are here, you're looking at the extended reading for the Ask Rafah that Imogen wrote in asking, rather, she's in a relationship where her partner is a liar and a cheat. And in summary, why can't she leave him? Okay, just in short, that she's tried to leave him many times and she's gone back. And she says, I've given him chance after chance, but it just gets worse. So I started doing a card spread, and you can see these cards here that are actually opened up. Which I did on the Ask Rafah, which also gives a very good, precise summary of how to tackle the situation. But what I like to do is extend that out. So this is a part shuffled already, pre-shuffled, and I thought I might just try this and shuffle it here on camera as well to finish off the spread I want to do. So the question is, we want to explore, and I'd like to give the advice for anybody in a relationship where a partner is a cheat and also lies and actually is very cruel mentally and emotionally. She does not say in her letter whether he is physically abusive, but despite the fact living with anybody who actually can wear you down emotionally, you really don't want to be there, and that's the advice I've given her. And that is so far also what the cards have started expressing. So let's see what else. So this is kind of one of the reasons I really want to stop doing the shuffling. I've done all variations, but I find that the shuffling can be quite long-winded, and I'd rather really, get to the point here. Wow, nice, very nice. Okay. All right, well, these are the cards, and I'm going to open them up as we go along. I think that'd be fine. I've decided also I'm going to use the Angel Atlantis card as a clarifier, perhaps what guidance or archangel and angels will also be able to assist in this. Okay, I keep on getting enchantment, which is really interesting. Okay, so we'll come back to this as well. So this is enchantment. I don't know if you can see that. All right. I think sometimes with these kind of cards, people tend to forget that life can be magical again. And you can actually dream a life that was far more than you actually settled for. But we'll come back to this. I could do with a little card stand, actually. We should come back to this. I'll put that here. Okay, so that's the overall energy or message from the Angel Atlantis deck. And it's Archangel Michael, which is also the archangel who is known for severing ties as well. Okay, but this is a beautiful card, I think, because I really feel that it's informing anybody who finds himself in an abusive relationship that you have forgotten your childlike self, your child self. I mean, imagine if you did have a child, would you actually allow your child to be abused and harmed? You know, but as an adult, you tend to forget that this is something that you really you know, deserve, and which is not true. So in fact, I'm just going to speak to the camera a bit today, and I really want to just sort of say that it's really important that you don't allow yourself to be abused in any way. You know, the card of enchantment is a great reminder about how when we're in a compromising situation, that you take yourself back to the inner child, and actually all your woundings, and anybody in a relationship that comes, and I talk about this in my Ask Rafah vlog, but you really, really want to sort of imagine that it's your inner child that's actually being very badly neglected, because you would not harm a child unless you were sick in the mind yourself, really. And as much as that sounds very harsh, it's very true. Anyone who harms a child has actually got some very emotional disturbances that have crossed the boundary of mistreating and harming a child. But anyway, we'll come back to that. So this is the overall message, and I think it's really, really powerful. And really, you know, you need to get back to the free flow of your life, get back to the innocence of your life, and know that you deserve. And this is a doorway for you and anybody else, Imogen and anybody else, that allows you to really think about how you can bring love that is, you know, sort of compelling and eternal within yourself, and allow yourself to shine. Okay, this is a very, very, very magical card. And also it really allows you to come through the crown chakra. So really allowing that, because the other thing is when we get so frightened and everything else and constantly abused, you tend to be thinking so much because you're in such fear. It really takes over the whole body and you're thinking a lot, and all this gets blocked. And the fact that you're even asking that, that you're finding that you're stuck to be able to leave informs me that in some way that you really are very stuck. And yeah, just bringing the magic back into your life, really. And yeah, you need to bring that back in. And I think when you start concentrating on your creativity as well and some other magical things in your life, you're able to also not find that it can stay in a relationship like this. But let's have a look as well at the rest of the cards. I'm going to move the camera back. So continuing, I've just kind of been playing around with the camera, so we've got a slightly different view from the original one, but that's okay. Anyway, so here we've got Michael's card, and it's about enchantment and getting childlike and coming back to the crown chakra. All right, so very important that you focus on doing some healing and some chanting. The sound Om also very much works with this, or the sound E, as in like he is really good to chant, to really revibrate and calibrate the crown chakra. But coming back to the reading, so I'm just going to open up the cards. These were the cards that were, some of them were pre-shuffled and some of them were shuffled on camera. And this is what came out. This actually came out on when I did the Ask Rafah, but it popped out right at the end after I quit the camera. So I decided just to sort of leave it. But I find that this is actually very good advice. So I'm going to start. The advice that I gave initially was, this is, you need to leave the situation. This is Six of Swords in a normal tarot spread. And this is also the burden. So she's carrying the burden of the relationship. For whatever reason, you think that you need to carry the relationship, and it is your job to support a partner who's actually very physically or mentally or emotionally, certainly in her case, abusive. Okay, you're carrying a burden from your childhood as well. If you see here, there's a child in the foreground there, or being carried. Again, this is some kind of maybe your wounded child that you're carrying, and you're unable to, I mean, this is a good thing. You are now able to recognize that you must carry yourself out of the situation, your environment, and move forward. Okay, the cockerel is also a sign of messages, birds, and also making a lot of noise. So I'm going to imagine that your mind is making a lot of noise right now, and you're quite right, because you've been surrounded by too much noise and you need to get out. The other thing that my attention had got to was the image here. Okay, this looks quite dark today. There we are. There's the it might be a bit of I won't say a rocky patch, but you know, it might take you step by step, and that's all you can do. You go step by step and climb this hill to get yourself out. Okay, I don't think you'd be a reasonable man for you just to leave. You might need to plot and get out. It depends. You know, I was once in a situation where I just left. Okay, I was also in a very disturbing relationship many moons ago, and I had plotted all manners of ways to get him out, and in the end it just wasn't going to happen till I got myself out. And that's what I did. And I started from bone scratch, and I got a job as a waitress. You know, I'd had to start all over again, without my permanent home and my own flat, and also a job to go to at the time, because I was actually so tied in and so distraught by the relationship surroundings I was in. This kind of relationship really takes a lot out of people. I don't think you realize till you get out that how much it takes out of you. The other thing is, of course, it depends on the length. Now, you've stayed there for 4 years. That's quite a long time. So the healing is going to take some time, Imogen. And for anybody, the longer you are in a relationship that's very destructive, the longer the passage of healing. But you must accept that. And that's because it's very deep and you've surrounded yourself with a lot of negativity. Okay, now here is this other awareness card. Now this is you becoming awake. Okay, your soul is awakening inside of you, and it's ripping you open. So in other words, you're getting a message from the deep part of yourself that this is no longer tolerable, and you actually really want to shed the skin away from the situation you're in. This is the new you wanting to come out. Here I find, which is really nice, this is about you going into some kind of group therapy, which is what I also recommended in the Ask Rafah, and meeting like-minded people, connecting to people who really care for you. Okay, you need to get your grounding back again. This is a root chakra, and this is your sacral and your power. Very much the colors I recommended in the healing meditation for yourself. that will help to ground, strengthen, get your honor code back into place. And I feel that with this thing, you can see that there's a circle of women or people holding themselves together and creating a network, if you like, of support. Okay, and this is really important, particularly when you're coming from an abusive relationship. It's really hard to admit to people that you're in a destructive relationship. Sometimes people know about it, some people don't. And even what's worse is if some people do, like your members of family can actually turn their back on you and you can find yourself very much on your own. Okay, that's something that actually can happen to me. So, you know, you do have a friend or two that could really help you. And as I did, I had one friend who in fact offered to come and get me, despite the fact that I did turn it down because I knew I was able to handle it. But I had to just really call on my inner resources and my inner power. And I'd had a lot of conversations with God, I can tell you that, in order for me to move on from the situation. Now, what's lovely about this card, which was kind of the fourth short praise of the card, this is an opportunity now for you to really get back in touch with your emotions. And I think this is coming from this. Okay, here we see the face, we see both the blue figures. This is you getting back into your emotional life. Okay, the emotions are wanting to come out, and this is very much a very receptive card. Technically, this could be the Ace of Cups, but I think this is enormous healing for you to have happen now for anybody in this situation. When you get out of a relationship, you must embrace and be receptive to the healing that is available for you. And sometimes going near water, so if you live by the sea or a lake or even a stream or river, do start taking yourself out most days and allow yourself to start feeling your emotions, because when you're in a protective mode for a very long time, a fight or flight situation, or when you freeze in the case that you did, which is now coming ripping open, this is sort of like a frozen figure, and now you think, I can't take it anymore. You really harm and clearly have lost your boundaries, and it needs to thaw, it needs to come out, and you need to start feeling your feelings, because when you're in protective mode, like I said, you cannot often feel it, you know, kind of really allow your feelings to come out to the fore. So this is a wonderful card. The other card that kind of popped out, which is I think this is a king. This is about you really also, I feel like maybe doing some positive reading or really accessing maybe a therapist, a mentor, somebody who could really help you through it, for you to balance your inner and out, and also your chakras. The chakras are very much featured in the back of this figure. I mean, I personally am very chakra biased. I find it's an absolute essential intrinsic tool that we can, and intrinsic because we all have it, but it's a tool that we can really use to strengthen ourselves and come out the other side recalibrated, strengthened, and almost be reborn. Okay, because we have kind of released all that fear energy, released all the toxic energy in the formative years, energy that got lodged as a child. So yeah, and perhaps even go again and sit and really kind of start looking at what, where you can empower yourself, particularly with the solar plexus, I feel. And, you know, maybe go out on a retreat, you know, somewhere that's a bit removed from your current home, for you to disengage from your normal environment, do some reading, go and see a healer. But this is to do with knowledge. I need you to start bringing yourself the knowledge that you did, so you can start creating yourself a sense of abundance. This also could mean to me that you have something that's very abundantly sitting on that you don't recognize. It could be money, or it could be a talent or a skill that you really need to take out. Okay, so I'm just going to open these cards as well. Here we've got an incredible, which is a really beautiful card, a card of understanding. This is a Prince of Cups, I think. But I don't really like to correlate. I don't know why I started doing this, because I really love these Osho cards, and I use these cards because they're so separate and so different from the Rider-Waite, which are quite old school really. And this is much more of a soul and spiritual work based cards, and that's the work I'm really interested in personally. That's the kind of practice I'm interested in, and really kind of talking from that place. So this is, you can see a bird there, and what's wonderful is Imogen and anybody else, you're not actually stuck, all right? You're actually not stuck in this situation. You know, it's open, and you've actually got, I feel, either messages coming through to you or people who are going to help you through this, and you're being called to release yourself now out of this cage or jail that you put yourself into. So this is wonderful, and this is underneath this card. So by you leaving, you're actually going to get the support that you're going to need, and find that there's actually support there. So I think really for you, Imogen, you need to just take the first step out of that situation. This also confirms to me that this is an amazing card lineup, is that this is a card of you being conditioned. Okay, there's something in you from your childhood that informs me this is conditioning. This is from your clan, the society, or maybe maybe the community that you've come from, that you've, you can say sayings like, well, you've married it, so now you married him, so you've got to make it lion, what's that saying? You've made your bed, so you've got to sleep in it, or whatever, lie in it. Okay, so this is not the case. You can actually undo yourself. You see this? Because there's some, you feel like you're tied there, but you can actually unrelease yourself. You're never tied to a situation, okay? Absolutely never, ever. You always have the power to walk off. And this is also time for you to shed your family history, your family burdens, and everything that you've been sort of burdened with that has you trapped, and actually, in a fearful situation where you're actually stuck to the line. Now, be the lion in this case, and you can roll yourself out of this situation. Okay, here we have the card of success, Six of Wands, which is inverted, and I don't know if I want to read it in the inversion, but basically it is a card of success. So potentially you've got great success, but I would say at the moment, since it's possibly inverted and reading it together like this, you will need to go definitely and seek group support or some kind of support before. I don't think this is something you can do on your own. In fact, I'm going to guarantee it that you can't do it on your own. You might be able to walk out of the relationship on your own, but you're definitely going to need some outside support and some help to help you get back to your center, get back to your core, okay? And then you'll definitely have the emotional success and the kind of feeling back to life, the sense of enchantment, okay? You need to reclaim that child, okay? Here is, again, I think you've kind of got stuck. Yeah, there was a payoff for you to stay in this relationship, and you've got complacent, and I feel like in some way, if you see this card, which is quite interesting, that you sat on your laurels too long. All right, let me look at these two cards. But the time is definitely ripe. Wonderful. All right, next to that, we've got the ripeness. So as you know already, you've written to me because you're in this is where you are currently in the present. This is what's coming up in the future. And before you know it, I don't think you're going to even able to not move out of that situation, okay? It is time for you to dream big as well. This is also can be regarded as the wish card. And for you to dream big and start imagining, which is also this card of the enchantment, how you can reclaim a much more happier and a sunnier life. It is time. This is the apple or the plum dropping off the tree, and it only does that when the time is totally ripe, which means you are definitely moving into the situation, or out of the situation into your new life. This is definitely a time for you not to keep your mouth shut. Release the moral code, or whatever code that you've been stuck in. Okay, this is almost the total opposite of that. This is, for me, when it comes towards the end with the advice cards all around it, this is now time for you to totally release your kind of jail. I mean, this here, I mean, open your heart, get connected, open your mouth so you can really speak up for what you want. Oh, I'm sorry if this reading's a bit uncomfortable with the camera not focusing very well. I'm going to have to really read the manual to this camera because I'm not doing very well with this camera. But in any case, this is the mortality card, unbinding yourself, releasing yourself out of this dark grey arena. Move out to where life is happening and a proper community is, because it's definitely there, the gateway, where you can unbind yourself. All right, and to really finish, which is really wonderful, is you are being given an opportunity to start again. Here, this is a Fool. This is not even knowing how you're going to go about doing this, or in fact going on a path that on the unknown. So in some way, you are being faced with a total unknown, because you don't know any better right now after having been in it for 4 years. Okay, so very important that you just literally jump off the cliff and follow the trail of truth. Reclaim your innocence through this little white flower. Here, in fact, you might even find that you just decide to walk out without anything on your back. Okay, because, things are things, but your soul and your personal self-worth is of high commodity, and it's priceless, and that's what you need to preserve, not the things, not your items or whatever. So if it means that you actually leave for the time being just to get yourself some emotional and headspace, do so without any baggage, and you can always go back to that if you can trust him not to damage it. If he does, like I said, they're all retraceable. Otherwise, I suggest that you leave anyway, of course, because this is what this card is telling me, that you are to leave the situation, and you will be leaving the situation and will be starting all over again. So it's a wonderful card, and I get these colors all to do with your base chakras, the 3 lower chakras for anybody, which are the most, I find, in any relationship issue, tends to be the most in need of attention. So this is the actual tarot reading. We've got Michael, which is call on Archangel Michael to help you, for you to gain your innocent child self. I offer this work as well. We're doing inner child work under my website, www.rafahsabbagh.com, and it's in live script energy series. I'll put a link below or in the description box, and you can certainly book yourself in for a healing and empowering session where you can really navigate the terrain of getting in touch with your inner child, connecting with your inner child, and just really releasing. This is also, I'm just having a quick look at the back of the stack card. In fact, when I did these 4 cards, the card that was underneath the deck was actually a child wanting to come out of a gate, which I should have actually taken a picture of, but that is to do very much with the inner child anyway, and I won't need that card really to tell anybody that, but that is very much the background of the situation. And we also have this one. This is where you're holding on so tight that you're afraid to let go, but I feel it's very much something that you are going to be doing. Wonderful. Look at this. Oh, I love these. Okay, and this is another part. Okay, really getting back to your playfulness. Very important that you just get back to really finding your inner child, going to clubs, joining up a meetup, getting yourself out of your head, out of this stuck place. But I think you're already on your way, and this is for anybody. If you're not on your way, you will be on your way, and you must start taking the steps to be on your way. Completing a cycle here as well of what you deserve, and really bringing in the fulfillment and completing the cycle. All right, because you know what you need to do is re-fall in love with yourself. This is a lover's card, but this is actually you falling in love with yourself again and again and again, and really getting in touch with the self that you've abandoned. Like in every relationship, we need a masculine side and the feminine side, and it's no longer about the other half or marrying my man and projecting all your needs and your emotional needs from somebody. These elements are long gone. We're now in a paradigm of where we actually need to be united in ourselves first and foremost, in both our male aspect, and that's what you need to do. You need to rescue yourself out of this relationship and start forging a beautiful relationship with yourself. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave this for now at the back. All right. And I've got this soul journey card, so we'll just do this. Okay, I love these cards. This is soul journey lesson cards. Everything's a soul journey to me, and all our ins and outs from our childhood to our adult life is based on our awakening and connecting to the soul. Our soul is always with us, but it's getting in touch and being aware that we've actually got a soul, and it is a soul journey that we've come to do here. So this is a beautiful card, and I love the way they're just beautiful in gold on the side. But we'll have a quick look and see if there's any card that might want to give you further advice or clarity. Okay, so got 2 jumped out. Okay, wow. All right. Right, now this is quite amazing. Okay, so here we've got 2 cards that jumped out simultaneously together, and I'm going to take them both. Okay, we've got a card here. Now, Imogen and anybody else, please, one thing you do not do is regret being in a relationship like this, or that one that you found yourself in. Okay, really important, because that is only self-inflicting more shame and more kind of put down. You've had enough of the put downs already. Okay, he's put you down all this time. Okay, and that also informs me that you have a little girl that's putting herself down, because if you had a girl or a sense of self that was so much more powerful than that, you would not tolerate it. Okay, but do not regret it, whatever happens. This is colors also the orange and root chakra. So again, sacral chakra and root chakra very much will heal and help you to release any regrets, as well as strengthen your capacity to reaffirm your beauty, your inner light, your sense of self-worth, and the relationship to yourself. Okay, and it says here, I know that I cannot change the past. So just be with that, okay? There might be a stage, maybe you want to discuss it and feel bad about it, thinking, God, I can't believe I wasted 4 years of my life being with a real twat. Excuse my language, but it's true, okay? You know, but it's okay. You have to learn, and the soul journey is that. And here, this is another clarification of that. Relationships here. Okay, now the many webs of relationships, and we tend to, like a matrix, attract the very partners that we need to learn something about ourselves from. So it is so important, and in fact it's a gift. So once we get over the anger or the disappointment or all these emotions, you know, sense of abandonment or a sense of you know, sort of hard done by-ness, we can realize that we've actually somehow called it in ourselves on a soul level, because he was meant to teach you this, or if you're male looking at this in this different in the opposite dynamic situation, she was meant to teach you this. Okay, it says here, I'm attracted to those people who serve my highest good. Now, this term highest good often gets bantied about like as if everything's going to turn out really well. And it does, but the highest good could be exactly that you're supposed to undergo a very transformational relationship. Okay, which is going to transform you. Okay, so that doesn't mean to say the relationship necessarily transforms the relationship gets transformed, but you. Okay, so he has served your purpose. So for whatever reason, you've come to meet, I won't say what, for whatever reason, you were meant to come together in this lifetime through the web of life, and you linked up. Okay, and he has now taught you that you deserve better, and you're not going to tolerate that kind of livelihood, that kind of relationship, or anything to do with that, and you're going to be able to move on into better pastures. Okay, now depending on the healing that you do and the inner work you do, sometimes there are chances, which I find, you know, if you don't do the work, believe me, mark my words, you're going to enter into another relationship that's going to give you a very similar dynamic. Okay, that's still not purified. The more work you do on yourself, the more kind of clearer you are, and the more you won't magnetize that kind of relationship. Okay, like I said, we're like a web, and it is hard. We're all in a school of relationships, and sometimes we think that we've actually managed to get somewhere, and you kind of find the next person, you think, wow, this is so much better, and this is it, and there's still issues that are there, but that's okay. Every relationship we have takes us closer to the one that really is robust, healthy, most loving, and nourishing. So I really wish for a nourishing relationship for all of you, one that's deserving of love, the highest form of love, but we have to become that lover in ourselves, which is here, okay, for that to really happen. So I'm going to end the reading here. I think it's gone long enough. I hope this has helped you, and do take the advice here, that do seek some counsel, definitely do some inner work on your inner child. Any details, if you choose to work with me, is down below in the description box. Once again, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to doing you another card reading on the back of Ask Rafah. And yes, thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now. Okay, I actually opened the having said goodbye and bye for now. I opened the top card just before I was, just as I was switching the camera off and looking at my deck. And I think this is also one to share, okay? You've got to forgive yourself more importantly, because that's the other thing you'll be doing on the back of regret. There'll be a sense of, how did I do this to myself? Why did I do this to myself? Why didn't I move on sooner when I knew? Or often I find that, you know, that we tend to sort of see the red flags right from the outset, and yet we go straight through it. Now, the point that we tend to ignore the red flags as well, people, is because this is exactly precisely a soul relationship that we need to have, so we can awaken to our beautiful internal being. Okay, but do forgive yourself, and also forgive him, because in some way he was acting in the greater movie of your life to support your growth, and so you can come and become more of who you are, and to rise up like a phoenix, really, from this situation. So I would say definitely forgive yourself. And it says here, I acknowledge that harboring resentments blocks the flow of love. So that is a really important key as well. when we don't forgive somebody for any harm they've done or any cruelty they've inflicted on us, or for lying, for cheating, anything like that, which is exactly what this whole the whole, not question, but the whole problem was, is that you don't get to move on. You won't get to move on. You'll end up going with that resentment in your heart, and you will be attracting somebody else who's going to be maybe non-committal, because all these elements are somebody who's not committed. Okay, so or not willing to commit, and there's something in you that's maybe afraid of commitment. And until we do the inner child work, I couldn't really tell you where it stems from, but often from our original parenting or guardianship. All right, but this is one really very, very powerful to do. Forgive yourself, forgive him, and this is a process that you will come to, but there will be a day or a morning that you wake up and you find that you've been released of the burden, which is sort of where you're heading, and find that you have space in your heart again. Feelings of forgiveness have happened, no regrets, and the relationship was what it was, and you're moving on to new pastures. And both of these are very similar to me. Okay, both moving on and traveling down a road that is taking you to a better, harmonious, light-filled life. Okay, this time I'm going to end here. Thanks again. Thank you for watching, and I will look forward to having you back on my channel, Ask Rafah, and this is the extended video, which will be sometimes uploaded on Vimeo, but right now I'm happily actually uploading it on YouTube as well, so people can get a flavour of the readings I do and the advice that I can give through the cards. Lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.